ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकधामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं अंगं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम्। हरे कृष्ण। So every day when we try to see what we have been given, we will be so much grounded to the root. Because by the mercy of the Lord, we've been kept in various situations. We've been given so much in our life. We've been given family. We've been given intelligence, job, so much. What to speak? At every step when we see, we've been given so much. So through that giving, when someone doesn't agree to what we say, how do we respond to that? How do we try to how do we try to ensure that the person will actually understand and will actually do that? Now, please understand this is an important discussion where Arjuna was kept in a state. Let's take Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj was kept in a state. What is that state? The moment he heard from one of his Shamik Rishi, he didn't go personally, but rather what happened was Shamik Rishi sent the information that Parikshit Maharaj is about to be killed in 7 days. Now, the moment he heard that, what did he do? He actually accepted that as a greatest blessing in his life. Now, this is something very close to the heart because nobody in this world will actually take that difficult situation as a blessing. See here, dear devotees, Parikshit Maharaj has been ruling this nation, this entire creation, this entire world for like 700 years. Now, if any person who is actually ruling, that means he's like number one person. After him, everyone else is there. He's been kept in that position for 700 years. And then he never committed a mistake, never committed a sinful activity. Rather than committing a mistake or a sinful activity, he was so instrumental and inspirational that his entire kingdom was actually doing that, was actually following his words as he is. Just like Lord Ramachandra, when he was there, everyone were listening to him. Everyone were actually following his instruction. A similar setup was being established during the kingdom of Parikshit Maharaj. Such an exalted personality was empowered so. He was so much empowered by Pandavas, by the supreme personality of Godhead, that he could do anything. Now, why am I telling this is because if a person was able to do anything, if he is being given a state that you will be leaving this world in 7 days, you'll be leaving this place in 7 days. Please understand who in this world will accept that. This is a question actually. For example, we began this conversation, right? If one person is actually not hearing to us, so how do we respond? Because that is not good for him. That is not helpful for him. That is not right association for him, but still he's taking that association. Now, how do we convey the message? The child is little adamant, doesn't listen as is. This like this is a state of Rajoguna. Through Rajoguna, what happens, dear devotees, is the Shastric instruction also we try to take through our lens. We don't see through the lens of what the acharyas really wanted or expected us from to do or expected us to do. Because their giving is totally different to what we perceive. The only difference between a pure devotee and the condition, there's so many differences. We're just discussing one. A pure devotee, when he's kept in any difficult or an unimaginable state, what he does is he immediately depends. He immediately takes shelter. And this taking or depending, taking shelter and depending is like pure goodness. It's not even goodness. It is above that. But through Rajogana, what happens is the same person who is mixed with so many desires of this world, what he does is his way of seeing or taking that difficulty is in a different way. Just like, for example, if the same situation of Parikshit Maharaj was given to Duryodhana, you know what he would have done? He would have killed that child immediately. And then he would have ensured that everything is rightly being done so that he would ensure that he's protected. Because he knows he'll let's say he knows that he will die in 7 days. But he will see that he will try to find ways and means to come out of that difficult state. That means what is this? This is a state of Rajoguna. Through Rajoguna, what we do is we try to protect ourselves or save ourselves, ensure that this is being taken in this way or that is being taken in that way. But we never agree or accept to the condition what it is being given. Very few people in this world will accept in whatever they've been given. For example, if a person is also quitting something, for example, if a person is leaving job and he's doing full time, just say, for example, if that person is not really connected to the roads, first thing what happens after quitting, he gets frustration. Why? Because let's say some time passed, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Eventually, what happens is frustration because that person he left the job. Now everyone around him is they're thinking that oh this person is really a pure devotee. But the thing is the person is not connected to the root. And on the other side, the other person might be working, but he's really connected to the road. Who is better? The person is connected to the road. What is road? Following the instructions of the spiritual master and then serving them and then accepting the Lord as a supreme person and then working everything or doing everything for his pleasure. That person is connected to the root. Let's say if the person is not connected to the root, but still he is there, he's continuing the process. So what he'll get is he'll get this frustration because why frustration comes? Because the moment he tells something, if the other person is not responding to the way he's supposed to react, this is called as Rajoguna. Please understand. That means you do an action, the other person is reacting in some other way. That means uh, the other person says B, you say A, the other person says B. No, you continuously say A, but you're not realizing that why that person is saying B. Because in Rajoguna, what happens is the person begins to think only about himself. He doesn't even care or think about the other person. That is state of Rajo. Just like Duryodhana, he was been asked, just give 5 villages. But Duryodhana was not in a position to do that. Why? Because he is continuously thinking about himself. That's why he says that I will not even give an inch. Likewise, a sadhaka who practices the process, but he never uses his assets in the service of the Lord. What is that? That is doing devotion Rajoguna. As simple as that. Because for that person, he will also get reflections, but those reflections are the reflection by the material nature, not the reflection by the Supreme Lord. Because please try to understand, there are two kinds of reflections. One is given by the material nature, one is given by the internal energy. External energy also gives reflection, internal energy also gives reflection. The reflection which are given in internal energy, what it is it is continuous. Please understand. Those reflections are continuous, but the reflection which we get, which come and go, which come and go, which doesn't say, which doesn't stay. That means it doesn't have a base. It doesn't have a base formula. What that signifies is that is a clear indication that the sadhaka is actually is not still in the pure state, but still he's actually aspiring, but he's not yet there. But the more he continues, he will be there. Now that process has to be applied. Because if that is not applied, what happens is the Rajoguna is so predominant in one's consciousness. What it will do is it will slowly degrade the person into Tamoguna, but rather he will not be elevated into Sattoguna. Because only in Sattoguna one can really understand what's happening in the scriptures. The Rajoguna and Tamoguna is a different state. And if you actually see, these modes work in a combination. They don't just work just like that, but they work in combination. Combination means sometimes sattva, sometimes rajo, sometimes combination of rajo and tamo, sometimes combination of rajo and sattva, sometimes sattva and tamo. So they're all fighting which one to come first. That's why you see a lot of differences. The same child who goes to the school is in one state in the morning. The same child who comes after the school is in another state in the evening. That child has to be pacified. That child has to be brought up to the right state by kirtan, by taking darshan of the Lord. And slowly, what happens is slowly his consciousness improves, and then he elevates his consciousness. And up until that point of time, he doesn't listen. Later on, he will listen. Why? Because he's been connected to something else. That's what we began that conversation, right? Person is hearing. We want him to hear, but the person is actually not hearing. Then what happens? This is what we need to understand that the modes are actually working. Because through that modes only, every endeavor he sees through that lens only. Because he is actually seeing through modes. Through modes only, he's understanding, he's thinking that he's getting reflections. But it is actually the modes which is driving. That's why those reflections, they do not remain continuously. They come and go, they come and go, they come and go. But here, if you see, Parikshit Maharaj was in Shuddha Sattva. His consciousness is fully elevated. He's there, but he's not here. He's present, but technically he's not present. What do you mean he's present and not present? We discussed about this before. This is the wonderful consciousness of a pure soul. What that signifies is he's connected to the matter. He's doing activities through matter, but he's not connected to the matter. Because he uses his body to eat, he uses his body to sleep, but he's not, he don't think that he is this. He's just using it as this as a means. That means he's here, but he's not there. But he's not here also. Now, how does one actually come to the plane that I'm not this body but a powerful spirit soul? Through his actions. Not just mere even a kid would know. If you ask any kid, go and ask in the community, a child, what are you? He'll tell, oh, I'm not this body but a powerful spirit soul. You ask your child, he'll tell. Telling doesn't signify that he's in that plane. Acting signifies that he's in that plane. That means he's actually working on that plane. That means he's not using this body for any so-called bodily happiness. He's just using this body as a machine. Because this is just a machine. For example, immediately if there is a cut, if there is a cut on the skin somewhere, you see the children, if there is a small cut, they will show continuously, whoever comes to them, you see, I have this problem. Blood came so much. My finger is paining so much. Everyone he'll show this. Why? Because the conception. Because he thinks that he's that. Just like we think that we are a man, we are a woman. That is why when the differentiation is there, that's why we want to enjoy the opposite sex. We want to enjoy the other person. Why? There is a difference. When we don't see a difference, when we see that they are part and parcel, how does one see that he's a part and parcel? Applying that, acting on that. That means really acting on it. When a person really acts on it, then what happens? Then he will understand, yes, I'm not this, I'm something else. Oh, sleep is coming. Sleep is to this body, it is not to me. Dear devotees, you can actually survive for 3-4 days if you do not eat. If you drink water, you can survive for 7 days or even more. Based on the because if we are technically not this actually, we are just using this as a via media, as a means. But the moment we begin in using this as ourself, this is called as Rajogan. That means he is not in that state, but he's thinking that he's that. But technically, he's not that. Now we need to understand this. For example, if there is cold, I remember many few years back, I was asking this question. How come when there is cold, our chanting is affected? How come when there is not cold, we can sit and chant continuously? How is that? Immediately the answer is bodily conception. Because we actually see through this. Okay, some disturbance is there. That doesn't mean that our chanting is affected. That shouldn't affect our chanting. That shouldn't affect our hearing. That shouldn't affect our the way of taking the truth. That shouldn't. See, sense gratification is only an obstruction. That is not a via medium for happiness. If a person is feeling that sense gratification is a via medium for happiness, that means that is in the stage of Rajoguna. Because through Rajoguna only a person is actually perceiving it in this way. Oh, I am this, I am this, I am this. I should use this for some pleasure. This tongue is me. No, a devotee, he relishes the prasad. Anything else, he doesn't even get any taste or ruchi or asakti. But if you are doing it in Rajoguna, then what happens? The taste, ruchi, asakti comes with person who we don't know who that person, what he cooked, with what consciousness he cooked, still we perceive that. Now, I cannot say that by eating that I'm doing this also for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna says that personally you shouldn't do that. But when we begin doing it, then what? Then that means we really don't know what Krishna wants. So that is the whole idea. This Rajoguna is very dominant, very prominent in one's consciousness. Tamoguna is completely in ignorance. That doesn't even help one to advance or even know what Krishna consciousness is. Because when Rajoguna degrades, then only it goes to Tamoguna. Or it doesn't stay there. The Rajoguna doesn't stay there. For example, just like when the conditioned soul came from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he descended into this material realm. He he just did not descend just like that. Or he's just not kept into an animalistic life. He was in Shuddha Sattva, even during descendants. That means even Shuddha Sattva, if it is not in alliance with the Lord, then we will fall away from that. Shuddha Sattva is what? Completely. That means the Shuddha Sattva, there is a contamination in that. Through that contamination, he comes to the stage of goodness. Through that goodness, he comes to higher planets. And then slowly, when the person at that higher planets, again he takes the association, then he goes back home, back to Godhead at that moment itself. But if the same person is not taking the higher association, then slowly what happens? He degrades. Then even in Sattva, there are different states. Doing for one own self is also Sattva only. For example, I might be chanting Hare Krishna, and then I'm just doing it for myself. That is also and no doubt you'll get some taste also. No doubt you'll get some conviction, oh, this is really working, but still that is in, even though if we are doing it for ourselves, it's not like it's not in the pure state, still it is demarked as sattva. For example, a person doing a donation, thinking that this donation will actually help him elevate to heavenly planet, is also goodness only. Because how many people would do donation? No, hardly few would do. No, that is also sattva only. But that sattva is not Shuddha sattva because it's not connected to the Lord. Even that sattva, it will keep the person in a complacent state. For example, for this also people would leave the job. For what? First thing is for name fame. The second thing is to have peace of mind so that he can do meditation, so that he can understand. He's thinking that, oh, the person who's actually working, how is he thinking, oh, this job is useless, somehow, my dear Lord, just protect me so that I get this money and then, I should be free and then let me be peaceful. No, these are all the goals, aspirations through which one comes to the process of Krishna consciousness. Let me have some peace of mind. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me be free from this. These are all lethargic conditions which are there, which is there in Rajo. This Rajoguna is predominant. Yesterday we had this discussion with Govinda. No, he was also doing a service. How do we demarcate that this is in pure goodness? Shuddha Sattva? Because he doesn't have any expectation. It's very difficult. You're doing something, you're not seeing the person, you should do it without any expectation. That can only be done when a person is in Shuddha Sattva. Should be completely selfless. Ahituki aprayata yanatma suprasidati. This state of consciousness he should be. If he is in that state, then there is a ray of hope. Otherwise, there is no ray of hope. Otherwise, everything is in a difficult state. Because Because if we really understand, the more sadhaka, see, Arjuna also did the same thing. Arjuna didn't want to fight. He had his internal reasons. For example, if I have some internal reasons for not doing a service, or if we have some internal reasons for not doing any service, then what is that? No, that's a clear indication that this Rajo is pulling us. What is this? This is a guna. What is this? Sattva, Raja, and Tama. Sattva is there is some selfless, but in that there is selfishness also. But in Rajo, what happens? It is selfish, but there is no selflessness. In the Tamo, even that selfishness is removed, and I don't even want that. That is Tamo. For example, there is a quarrel between husband and wife. The husband immediately says, "Oh, I don't want you." This is Tamo. Because the Tamo Guna is dominant because he's habituated to being peaceful. He's habituated to have peace of mind. That's why they say, if you want divorce, okay, I'll give. If that is given, then I can at least chant Hare Krishna. What is this? This person is thinking that he's a devotee. No, no, he's not a devotee. He's actually in mode of ignorance. Because what is he expecting? No, no, actually, this is not in ignorance. This is in passion. Because there is an action. No? There's an action which is leading to another result. This is passion. In the Tamo, what happens is this is a combination of both Tamo and Rajo. Because in Tamo, what happens? Oh, I don't want any relationships. No, no, no. That is Tamo actually. And then through Rajo, what is he telling? If she gives something, some sweet or some heart or something which he likes, again he says, "Oh, my wife is good." Then he comes to Rajo. Please understand, if his consciousness is fulfilled, then he stays in Rajo. If his consciousness is not fulfilled, he goes to Tamo. Again he comes to Rajo. If the consciousness is fulfilled. Again, if it is not fulfilled, he goes to Tamo. Because he's frustrated. Nah, frustration is what? Frustration is Tamo. People don't understand that. And the practitioner devotees, what they think that, oh, this is transcendental frustration. What do you mean transcendental frustration? There's no transcendental frustration. That is tamoguna affecting us. We cannot proclaim that I know everything now. No. I said actually in a life of devotee, there's no frustration. There's no frustration. But the person thinks that he's in that state. So sadhaka should be very careful. These gunas, they do left and right. Cricket? I think you all played cricket, you watched cricket. There is that cricket ball. The same ball, the bowler will rub under the shoulders, underarms, and then the fielder will also rub. He has a kerchief, he will also rub. Everyone is rubbing. What he's doing, he's throwing the ball with utmost pace. And then the batsman is hitting the same ball. And then it goes outside the stadium. Six. Again, the ball is brought in. Again, the same ball he will rub. You know who that ball is? That is, the ball is the conditioned soul. Because that condition, all the 11 players, the batsman, bowler, they're all what? They are the modes of material nature. They drive the person. The ball is continuously rubbed here and there. It goes into different hands. It goes into different states. Sometimes he feels that he's in goodness, sometimes he feels that he's in passion, sometimes he feels that he's in ignorance, sometimes he feels that he's perplexed, sometimes he feels that, oh, I shouldn't chant Hare Krishna. Kya chanting, 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 bolte, bolte, bolte. Every day I should chant. Every day I should hear. This is out of frustration. It's a Rajo, Tamo. One day, immediately something happens. In a community, one person, he left the body. Okay. And then this person immediately becomes a sadhu. And then he chants Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Yes, I should chant, I should chant, I should chant. This is This through some external action, we came to that state. This is not real. This is not goodness. This is in Rajo. Because one problem happened there. That because he's doing it out of fear. Fear for whom? Fear for himself. No, that is not also devotion. Please understand, these modes are very complex subject. They they twist, turn, do so many things with us. The same person. Yesterday he said, "Oh, I will not chant Hare Krishna." What is this? I have no taste in this chanting of Hare Krishna. Oh, one side they say they should leave material desires, and the other side they should chant Hare Krishna after leaving material desires. Wow, how can I leave that? This I cannot do this. I'll keep it aside. This is Tom. This is Tom. Please understand. Now the alarm rings at 3:30 in the morning, and then you snooze, snooze, snooze. You snooze 20 times. This is Tom. Because we're not remembering the person. We're not remembering why we should get up. We're not remembering what our acharyas have given us. Because those things will never come in the consciousness early in the morning. Because we are filled with so much Rajo and Tamo. Rajo and Tamo means what? Completely I. That is not beneficial. That's why Duryodhana couldn't understand what Krishna wanted to tell him. This is so much absorbed in Rajo. Now that Duryodhana might be an associate of the Lord. In the spiritual world, we don't know because he's connected to the Lord. He might be doing just a service. It's like Lord is, everyone are his part and parcel. Mami vaamsu jiva loke. Jiva bhuta sanatana. Manasashtindriyani prakriti samikarshati. Krishna is saying, you're all my part and parcel. Don't worry. I'll take care of you. That is what he's telling. So this we need to understand. Because please try to see here. The truth cannot be understood core to the heart. Why means? Because of Rajo. Because in Rajo, how do we think is, we think it in a different way. Different way means, what's in for me? Every person has this consciousness. What's in for me? You see, any person in this world, what's in for me, what's in for me, what's in for me, what is beneficial for me? If I do this, what will I get? Oh, if I do this, I'll go back home, back to garden. That is good. That is transcendental. But please understand, this consciousness should be continuously. For example, please understand how many times we think about our acharyas in a day. How many times we think about the Lord? Hardly any time, right? Slowly, slowly, that has to be changed. Because Rajo, what it does is, it doesn't allow us to remember them. It doesn't allow us to know their glories. It doesn't allow us to meditate on their instructions. It doesn't allow us to keep there. Because that is Rajo. We can't see their devotees. Krishna says in Gita that we are bounded by these three modes. There are ropes which are bounded. I can't see, but they are there in the consciousness. That's why consciousness is more important than the gross elements, gross substance, because gross substance are actually working through the consciousness only. Dear devotees, as a practical example, if the finger is cut, you didn't realize that the finger is cut. We feel the pain. The moment you see, then you'll feel the pain. But up until that point of time, you'll not feel the pain. For example, you're so absorbed in doing something, and something else happened in the background. I mean, you'll not notice it. For example, you're so absorbed in kirtan, and then you're sweating. I mean, you'll not observe that. I mean, you'll not feel that there is so much sweat. You don't know because that's an external thing. The moment you see, oh, there is sweat, I need to change my shirt. But until that point of time, you don't realize that. Please understand. We don't realize that because the consciousness is only established for that when we put focus on it. The devote is what to speak. If our focus on this body is only to maintain this body with good health and then nothing else, and not using this body for any kind of material happiness, any kind of sense happiness, then is that not a platform or an indication to elevate one's consciousness into a spiritual plane, which is soul, which we are? If I am this body, then why is this body? Why is this body changing continuously? 20 years back we had so much hair, but now we do not have anything. Why is it keep on changing like this? That also is an indication that we are not this. Profusely, when we focus continuously on the consciousness, we will feel ourselves in a different state. We will not feel in the same state. This is goodness. This is not pure goodness. Because what are we trying to do? We are trying to establish ourselves away from the bodily conception. That will bring him into the state of goodness. Then slowly, slowly, through that state of goodness, when he reads the scriptures, then and take the association, the senior Vaishnava, spiritual master, then what happens? Elevate. Then he comes to Shuddha Sattva. Because continuously, what are the pounding? Don't think about yourself, don't think about yourself, don't think about yourself. I, me, myself is not good. I, me, myself is not good. Duryodhana did I, me, myself. Yudhishthira, Hiranyakashipu did I, me, myself. Hiranyaksha did I, me, myself. Were they happy? Were they satisfied? But if you actually see Bhishma Dev, we discussed about the intentions yesterday, right? A little bit. Externally, Bhishma Dev he looks, not looks, everyone can see. Externally, Bhishma Dev is kept in the Kaurava side, but internally is working for Krishna. What is his intention? His intention is to please Krishna. For that pleasing Krishna, he can be opposite to Krishna or for Krishna. It doesn't matter. Please understand, in a relationship, if a person says, you go, you leave me, then he is happy to leave that person because he wants to keep that person happy. And if the same person says, no, you come back. If he really feels, then he will come. If he really has a relationship, then he'll come. Just like Brijavasis, Krishna told gopis and all the Brijavasis that I am gonna come pretty soon. And then he goes to Mathura. Doesn't he? He goes to Mathura. And then after that, what happens, dear devotees? The Lord doesn't come for next 100 years. Do you think that the Brijavasis were like envious towards the Lord because he didn't come? Because he is not fulfilling their desires? No, no, no. They were actually in separation. They were so absorbed in the loving relationship of the Lord through the association of the devotees. Now everyone started asking, have you seen the Lord? They're all discussing about those beautiful things, which beautiful interactions or exchanges which happened in their life. Now that thing in this material world, we see or we take the association of pure devotees and then feel that presence in that way. Just like the Brijavasis have felt the presence of the Lord. Because the Lord says that my devotees are me. I am in their heart. They are in my heart. As simple as that. That means the heart is same. That means the consciousness is same. The body might be different. Now, Srila Prabhupada's body might be short, but his consciousness is top level. Goloka consciousness. Completely selfless. Completely free from this materialistic so-called happiness of this world. Which doesn't give any substance. There's no existence in that. There's no substance. There's no futility in that. There's nothing in that. It's like gross thing. The least happiness in this world is sense gratification. This means it's the last thing. That's the least. Just like you pass urine and stool. I mean, we don't even see. We just flush it off, and then we just take bath and then come out of the bathroom. It's like that. Sense gratification is that. It's like a useless thing. That means it's last degraded thing in this world for pure devotees. Because they're in Shuddha Sattva. But for a person who is in Raja, oh, that is the greatest happiness. Because he'll chant Hare Krishna, he'll also do that. So a sadhaka should aspire to elevate himself from Rajo to Sattva. I remember when my Shweta master speaks on this sense gratification, it always gets an indication that, oh, I should be fearful of this state. I should be fearful that we should be so much fearful that, oh my dear Lord, I don't want that state. I really don't want. Life after life, I did the same shit. Why should I do that in this life? I want to come out of this Rajo. Because if you see, all the animals are in what? Rajo or Tamo. The animals which they get up in the night. Night is what? Darkness. What is that? Tamo. There's people who don't sleep in the night until midnight. What is that? It's Tamo. That means they want to take more Tamo association. That's why they couldn't get up early in the morning. Because what is happening? Night only two things. Night is done. See, in Tamo only one will do sense gratification. And that sense gratification is the stepping stone for the next life. Now, a person who is in Sattva, what he does is he will think about the future. Just like so many people in this world, especially, and anyone who has some responsibility, he will think about the future. He'll think about the children, what they should do, what he should do, how much money he has to earn, how much he has to save. This might look sattva, okay, because you're thinking about the future. It is only sattva only. But sattva is also abstraction, na? Okay, for example, let's say I captured like $2 million. Okay, I gave 1 million to my one son, another 1 million to another son. Okay, you distributed 2 million. Okay, you worked very hard. Okay, might be sattva you're giving because he's your blood. You're giving, right? But that sattva is also problem, na? Please understand. Because sadhaka has to elevate from sattva also. Sattva will not keep him in a good state of consciousness. No doubt it looks a little, you're doing some service, but that is also not pleasing. Are what to speak, dear devotees? Arjuna, he quit everything. He says that, oh, Krishna, I don't want anything. Still, Lord was not happy because that is not in a transcendental state. That is in a goodness state. That is also selfless. But that selfless is not the selfness which Krishna is expecting. Please understand, there are two different things. For example, Satya Sai Baba, he has so many he's a, he also has an organization. Even after he left, his organization is still continuing. Just giving an example. It's in goodness. But that is not the goodness Krishna wants. Because in that there is no Krishna. So that goodness will also take him to one state. What is that state? To get peace. For example, if you took care of your children very nice, you might go to Svargaloka because you took care of them. Whereas in next life, your son will also take care of you like that. As simple as that. There's no big deal. Now you took care of him, or otherwise, last life he took care of you, and then now you're taking care of him. That's also a possibility. But these are all temporary. Now, real taking care of what? Your son, if he becomes a great devotee, that is real taking care of him. If your son is completely free from sense gratification, that will happen when we are free. He should be completely free. I was just thinking about this. If the other person is not responding the way we are responding, means problem is with us. Very important. I was just thinking. Because one person was not responding to the way I was expecting. It's a very clear indication. Oh, कुछ इधर ही problem है ना. You have to address the problem here. Krishna is telling him, person is not hearing us. It's an indication that you need to check the consciousness, right? If our consciousness is right, then Krishna will open up his heart also. Because who can stop the other person to devotee? Nobody can stop the other person. Because the Lord is sitting in his heart. He has free will. You have free will. Everyone has free will. If this free will, which we've been given, which is used in that in his service, then what happens? Slowly, sattva will be transformed into Shuddha Sattva. That means continuously. If this state is continuous, then we will remain in Shuddha Sattva continuously. But the problem is the modes of material nature are very difficult. So through this difficulty, what happens? It is not very easy to stay in that state because it will give so many tests. It is not that easy. That's why we should pray. Why this dependence is there? Are even Srila Prabhupada prays every moment, every day. Very important. So this we need to aspire. I think it's time. Dear devotees, what I was thinking was, I'll confirm this tomorrow. But this is what I was thinking. Uh, from tomorrow, we will discuss Bhagavad Gita introduction. Is it okay? Every day we'll discuss Bhagavad Gita introduction for a few days. And then we'll enter into Gita. Is that okay? Subal Prabhu, I'm sure Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
But
Wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So that way we will, dive more deeper. And then we'll try to see what Srila Prabhupada and the spiritual masters are trying to teach us through that. And we will go from there. Nice. Anyone would like to add anything based on our discussion today? Would like to share Subal Prabhu, Amshi Prabhu, Chanakya, anyone else? Madhu Krishna Prabhu, would like to add anything?
Hare Krishna,
Anyone?
Prabhuji. Dandapranam, all goes to Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Subal
Yeah,
Prabhu.
you rightly wonderfully mentioned. If we have to train our kids, first we have to show them what we do, because we cannot artificially expect them to become pure devotees if we are not pure devotees. So not only our kids, to whoever it is, just we have to follow and show them. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's so important what you said. It is vital. For example, if there is a problem, we need to check our heart first. We need to see because nowhere the problem will be. The problem will be in our consciousness only. Because either we might be affected by Raja or Tamo or even Sattva. You know how Sattva will affect a devotee? The devotee thinks he's a devotee. That's how Sattva is affecting. It's a it affects the devotee so much. Because the devotee never go inside, never read, never understand. Because he's thinking he's a devotee. Because he's initiated. He got first, second initiation also. He's doing Gayatri also. He thinks that he's great. That's the obstruction. I'll send a message in the group. Please read that message. Very important. A Brahmana is thinking that he's going to Mangalarti every day. But as he's doing it for himself, the material nature knows now. She can easily catch whether a person is doing it for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, or the person is doing it for the pleasure of his own self, or the person is actually doing it to show for name fame. That's the only thing. These are the only two things. Maya can easily catch. The moment Maya understands or knows that a person is actually doing it for this in this way, then you know what she'll do? She will ensure that he gets up every day. She'll ensure that he sleeps on time. She will ensure that he will get up right before the Mangalarti, right? She will ensure that she will actually remove all the obstacles. It's like Narsinga removes the obstacles from the devotee's life when he prays. Similarly, material nature also removes the obstacle. Why? To raise his pride. Because the person is thinking that he is advancing in Krishna consciousness, but actually his pride is increasing. His Krishna consciousness is not increasing. Now, how do I know that the pride is increasing or Krishna consciousness is increasing? We'll discuss that tomorrow. And from tomorrow we'll begin introduction. Our introduction of Bhagavad Gita is so beautiful. It's my favorite actually, very beautiful. It gives us a proper, actually gave everything that in introduction. It gives a synopsis to very important concepts. And then when we actually when we actually dive into chapter one and chapter two, you get everything actually. You get to know everything. It will take some time, finish chapter one, but it's a great shelter. Hare Krishna. Anyone else would like to add? I think 2 minutes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhuji. All those to Srila Prabhupada. Really quick, thank you so very much for the beautiful message on the modes. Um, Constantly have to check. Sometimes we get fooled, thinking that beautifully, though you said in a though it sounded like funny, but it's very true. That frustration at that point of time, we think it's okay. I'm already in the mode of goodness. At that point, trying to instruct the dependents, trying to uplift, but then slowly, you have to check the consciousness continuously. Otherwise, that pride and so forth will come in, and that frustration is not exactly transcendental. It's not even in goodness. What to speak of transcendental? So have to check and see whether at that point of time, that situation, am I in a am I in line with the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra? And am I in line? My thoughts, words, are they in line with the teachings? So, and you also ensured that if we really, and we could experience too, but it should be consistent. Consistent. It's not like on off on off. It's very it's very hard, Prabhu, but trying, and as you rightly mentioned, the whole family should sit and listen. Shravana should be. It would be great. It's a blessing if all the family members sit, listen, be on the same page, try, discuss, correct ourselves. So, trying, need all your prayers. Thank you so very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes, from Shuras Prabhu, please take over the call. Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you very much.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, telling us how to transcend the three modes, gun and even getting stuck in the mode of goodness. Really appreciate all the wonderful examples you gave. And we need to hear this every day so that we can purify ourselves and not get stuck in any of these modes and get to Shuddha Sattva someday.